Sometimes the schedule lines up just right. Yovani Gallardo is just a man that skipper Jeff Bannister would choose to end the current Rangers slide. Yovani has recorded 6 wins and no losses when starting after a Texas loss. His earned run average in those starts, a microscopic 0.79. Tonight, Yovani Gallardo will look to right the ship, and past results would make the prospects look pretty good for your Texas Rangers. The Rangers and the Diamondbacks next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Now it is a cloudy, breezy, and humid night here at Globe Life Park. Prince Fielder talking to his bat, giving instructions to that piece of lumber, saying, let's go get the Diamondbacks tonight. It's the first of 2, your Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Tuesday night of Ranger Baseball, an abbreviated 2-game series against the Diamondbacks. And Tom, tonight, Rangers trying to snap a 6-game losing streak at home, and they turned it over to Yovani Gallardo.
Well, they turned it over to the right guy, Buzz. He's coming off 6 2-hit shutout innings against the Orioles. He's been very consistent all season long. He's had 17 starts. In 15 of them, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. In the other 2, he's only given up 4. He's also working on a 29 in the 3rd inning scoreless streak. That'll be fun to watch that tonight as well, Buzz.
He has been something. That's the longest active streak in the major leagues for Yovani Gallardo, 4th longest streak in Ranger history. So he'll try to extend that tonight, sneak up on Kenny Rogers, who holds the all-time record. It'll be the Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll come back with the starting lineups in the first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. By your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick off the summer right. Ford is the best in Texas. by AT&T Uverse TV. Uverse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. By Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Clouds overhead, a very comfortable evening if you like humidity. Humidity's up, the temperature is in the upper 80s, and the Rangers and Diamondbacks getting set to match up in the brief 2-game series. And before we get things underway, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones. Em?
Well, Buzz, as you and Tom mentioned, Yovani Gallardo looking to be a stopper for this Texas Rangers team tonight, and his season has kind of mirrored what his start have looked like, and he's gotten stronger as the game and as the season has gone on.
More than anything else, I think that also a guy that's feeling a little more comfortable with the league and the hitters that he's facing. He's seen them a couple times, and so I just think that is the case for Yo. But really, just a guy who's motivated, likes to pitch, and loves to compete.
And perhaps a little extra motivation tonight after being left off of the All-Star roster. Jeff Bannister not shy about saying his guys should have been in the All-Star game. Still some injury replacements, I should say, to be announced. Maybe Yo will get the call, but definitely one that his manager says he should have already gotten. So maybe a little extra motivation here tonight, guys.
All right, Em, thank you. Well, he will be facing a very familiar foe from his days in the National League, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Tom's going to tell you now about the Arizona lineup.
For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the center fielder A.J. Pollock will lead off. David Peralta will hit second in left field. Paul Goldschmidt at first base bats third. Yosmani Tomas in right field. Jake Lamb bats fifth at third base. The catcher is Wellington Castillo. The DH, former Ranger Jared Saltalamacchia. Chris Owens, the second baseman, will bat eighth. And batting ninth, the shortstop, Nick Ahmed.
And that is a lineup that will face Yovani Gallardo tonight, and all he has to do, and it's not that easy, but just keep doing what he's been doing, and that is putting up zeros. 29 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Very good command of better than good stuff in the strike zone has been the hallmark for Yovani Gallardo. Command of all of his pitches almost every time out there. And again, a very familiar foe facing the Diamondbacks, against whom he is 7-1 during his career. The only loss came earlier this year, ironically enough, in the uniform of the Rangers. That was a 5-3 loss in Arizona. So we get underway. A.J. Pollock, the all-star center fielder, will lead off, and first ball swinging. It's popped foul and out of play. Pollock, a .303 hitter with 10 home runs and 38 driven in. Against Yovani Gallardo, Pollock 2 for 3. Diamondbacks come in at 40-42. They are in third place in the National League West, trailing the Dodgers by 6 full games. Diamondbacks have been around 500. They had not been able to get over 500. The club that under Chip Hale that has played pretty well compared to last year. They're significantly better record-wise. Pretty well hit to right center field. Delino to Shields back and to his left. And just as he steps onto the warning track, makes the catch for out number 1. Let's take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. It's delivered to you by Fred Loya Insurance. You saw Delino in center field tonight. He's flanked by Josh Hamilton in left and Shin-Soo Choo in right field. Mitch Moreland at first. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Beltry at third. Robinson Chirinos is catching for Yovani Gallardo. Now, one out here is David Peralta now to face Gallardo. Peralta, .269 average. And he takes the fastball in for strike 1. 7 home runs, 36 driven in. 1 for 3 in the previous matchups against Yovani. Got him on the fist. And the count moves to 0-2. And that's a pitch, Tom, that I know we've talked about the last couple times. That fastball, the slider, whatever you want to call it, the cut fastball. He's able to get that in on left-handers very effectively.
Yeah, that I won't say it's been his best pitch, but it's certainly been a strong reason why he's been so successful. I think when you listen to the other team and the other team's manager talk about Yovani after they played the Rangers, very seldom will you not hear them mention the cut fastball and the effect that it had on their hitters.
Well, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Gallardo working to David Peralta. And another pitch in on the knuckles, fouled off to the left.
So many good stats to quote on Giovanni or any player that's going as well as he is. But one of the reasons he's had the shutout streak and has pitched so well in his last 7 or 8 starts, he hasn't given up a home run in 51 innings. Keeping the ball in the ballpark. Not giving up many hits either.
And that pitch low and inside. Yeah, and that's something that Gallardo wasn't a strong suit for him years ago. You know, being basically a 4-seam fastball guy and a curveball. Since he's gone to that more 2-seam fastball and the hard cutter, the hard slider. There's a big overhand curveball for the strikeout. He still has that, just doesn't throw it quite as often. He gets the punch out of Peralta. They're 2 gone.
Now, the other stat that goes right along with what you're talking about, Buzz, is his ground ball percentage, which is over 50%. The 2-seam fastball leads to a lot of ground balls, and he's having a lot of success doing it that way this year. Opponent's batting average is in the top 10. 223 is all opponents are hitting against him.
Here's a tough customer to face no matter how well you're going. That's Paul Goldschmidt. And Tom, you mentioned his numbers in our opening remarks. Maybe the most unheralded big guy in all of baseball. And this guy is a terrific hitter, a terrific player.
Yeah, there's nothing he can't do. You don't usually talk about a first baseman in his base running, but this guy can run. He's 15 out of 19 stealing bases.
We'll take a look at our forward leaderboard. The major league leaders now in batting average. Miguel Cabrera out on the disabled list for the next 6 weeks at 350. But Paul Goldschmidt and Prince Fielder right there back-to-back, 348 for Goldschmidt. And 1 behind is Prince Fielder. There's a strike, and it's 2-1. Yeah, and this is not like just a guy that's kind of catching people by surprise. Goldschmidt's been doing this for a few years now, and people still aren't able to stop him. 2-1 pitch from Gallardo. High in the air, twisting down the right field line. Long run for both Chu and Odor, and it's back in about 3 rows. Shin-Soo Choo playing way over in right center field, and of course Odor shading up the middle for the right-handed hitting Goldschmidt. They both had to run about 40 yards to get over there, 50 yards. See where they both start. Watch them take off.
Well, the good news is if it was a fair ball, one of them would have caught it. So they were there.
Now the 2-2. Just missed down and away.
Goldschmidt has walked 66 times. That leads the National League. His on-base percentage is .466, and his slugging percentage is .622, and those numbers are only second, both of them, to Bryce Harper. Shows you the kind of year Bryce Harper's having.
Yeah. Payoff pitch is outside, and Goldschmidt will add 1 more walk to that total.
I was listening to a show coming over to the ballpark today. They were talking about Bryce Harper midway through the season has the highest on-base percentage plus slugging percentage in the history of baseball, higher than Babe Ruth. Now, he's got to do it for the second half, too, and there's a lot of baseball yet to be played, but that's the kind of season he's having right now. Goldschmidt's right there with him in both categories.
Boy, that's amazing. You consider some of the years in the recent history that Barry Bonds put up.
Yeah.
You know, where he had the 100 intentional walks or whatever ridiculous thing it was.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, 1-2 out. Here's Yasmani Tomas. Saw Tomas in his first ball game or second ball game, as it was, with the Diamondbacks last April when we visited in Phoenix. He kind of looked like a fish out of water at that time. Was really struggling doing some things. They stayed with him, and he has really done a very good job since. 315 is average overall. 5 home runs, 35 driven in. Pitch outside, and Chirinos was going to fire down to first, but couldn't get the handle on it. That cut fastball down and away. And Goldschmidt getting a pretty good lead off there. Well, 2 balls and no strikes to Tomas. Just a rookie signing out of Cuba with the Diamondbacks. Hard hit through the hole on the left side. And a base hit follows the 2-out Goldschmidt walk. So 2 on with 2 out. And Jake Lamb will come up.
Well, we played Arizona earlier. Tomas did not look at that point in time. He didn't have many at bats like a hitter that would be having a kind of season he's having, hitting .315. He looked like he had some holes in his swing. He was swinging at anything within a foot of the strike zone. But obviously he's settled down to a guy that's having a very nice offensive year. Also did not look like he was going to be a third baseman.
No.
And he's not.
He's not. Yeah.
that look was true.
Decided to move him a little further away from the plate. Get him a little more reaction at time.
Yeah.
Well, Jake Lamb, a .287 hitter, a couple of home runs, 15 driven in. Lamb, primarily a platoon player at third base. Left-hand hitting component. The 1-0 pitch to him. And that's on the inside corner. Lamb in the last 8 ball games has hit .370 on 10 for 27. Against right-handers of late. We mentioned the platoon component. He's been a .409 hitter against right-handed pitchers. But Giovanni Gallardo has the advantage in the count now at 1 2 strikes. And this is where Giovanni really has been tough to get people on base. He just refuses to give the opposition anything. And one of the reasons that he's now up to 30 consecutive scoreless innings. Crowd, rhythmic clap in support of Gallardo. And the breaking ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Robinson Chirinos. That'll even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He tried to get him to swing it, a very similar curveball that struck out David Peralta. Big breaker down in the dirt, but Lamb was not going to go for that one.
No, Lamb back in there. Goldschmidt away from second. Tomas away from first. And another breaking ball, and he would not offer. Well, the count is full, and now both runners will have the advantage of being able to be on the move with the next offering. Goldschmidt from second, Tomas from first. Lamb trying to extend this first inning. If he gets aboard, Wellington Castillo, the catcher, is going to be next. Jake Lamb, pretty efficient in his last dozen bats or so with runners in scoring position. 5 hits. Gallardo checks the runners and the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Cutter down and in. Gallardo, a couple of strikeouts in the inning. No runs to hit. 2 men are left. After a half inning, we are scoreless in Arlington. Southwest Airlines lineup.
Well, back in the lineup for his second game since the disabled list is Delino DeShields in center field. Rougned Odor is playing second. Prince Fielder, the All-Star, is the DH batting third. Adrian Beltre will play third and bat fourth. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Josh Hamilton back in the lineup. He'll bat sixth in left field. Elvis Andrus is the shortstop. Shin-Soo Choo drops down to eighth in the lineup in right field. Batting ninth, Robinson Chirinos, the catcher.
And that lineup will face the 23-year-old left-hander Robbie Ray. You may remember Robbie Ray from his brief time with the Tigers last year in Detroit. Fastball, changeup, and a very average slider. But command can be a problem for the young man. He's just trying to establish himself now at the big league level. And Rangers will try and find out early if he is going to be able to throw strikes consistently. And Delino DeShields looks at strike one. DeShields a two-hit day when he got back in the lineup on Sunday. 275 the average. Delino no home runs, but 12 runs driven in. The Rangers, with him as the leadoff hitter, have gone 13-8 this year. And considering part of the time that Delino was in their club, was trying to come back from being in the doldrums, that's pretty impressive. Obviously, you can't lay everything at his feet and say, well, it's because of him that they were that way, but he certainly has been a spark plug to the Ranger engine. Skies this one to right center field. And moving over to the center fielder, A.J. Pollock. Right there, number one. Rougned Odor will be next. Take a look at the rest of the Diamondbacks defense. You saw A.J. Pollock in center. David Peralta is in left, and Yasmani Tomas is in right. Infield of Paul Goldschmidt at first. Chris Owings and Nick Ahmed up the middle. Jake Lamb at third, and Wellington Castillo is catching. Now one away, and here is Rougned Odor. Odor steps in hitting at .235 with 4 home runs and 22 driven in. He takes strike one. Rangers come in, as we mentioned, having lost 6 straight here at home. They've lost 3 straight overall, and they are now 15-22 here at Globe Life Park. 41-42 the overall record. They trail the Houston Astros in the Western Division of the American League by 7 full games now. And they are 3.5 games behind the Los Angeles Angels. Chopper foul off the bat of Odor. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and by a pretty comfortable margin. They have the most wins on the road. Just an unusual half of the season to play so well on the road and not so well at home. If it was reversed, you'd say, well, that's kind of what you would expect.
Yeah, yeah. And for the most part, they played the same people at home they have on the road.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it Western Division. They just have not played well against the Western Division.
There's so many people will ask us, Rangers have won more games than anyone else on the road, and they're below 500 at home. What's the reason for that? I don't know if there is a reason. That's just the way it is halfway through the year. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't come up with what the reason is.
Well, Robbie Ray going to that high fastball gets his first strikeout.
Yeah, Ray looks like he has some potential as a starter. A nice fastball, 92, 93. We'll see how his other pitches work in as the game goes on. And he's only had 7 starts this year, but his numbers are nice. Fewer hits than innings. Walks are okay. Strikeouts are okay.
Prince Fielder takes the first pitch down and away for ball 1. And this guy's numbers are okay, too.
They're pretty good.
347, 13 home runs, 50 RBI. Of course, Prince, the Lone Ranger representative on the All-Star team this year. Prince will take part in the home run derby, he has said. Just saw today that Albert Pujols has decided he's going to.
Ooh, they got some big names this year.
Yeah, maybe he just...
They got some new rules on that this year. I like those new rules.
Do you?
Yeah, I think they're... you get to hit for 5 minutes, so as much as you can swing in 5 minutes. I thought it dragged a little bit. You know, they were just taking so many swings, and it was lasting forever. It'll be interesting because it sounds like just a brief moment in the batter's box, but swinging pretty steadily for 5 minutes takes a lot out of you. Batting practice pitchers will be throwing probably as quick as they can to allow the hitter to get as many swings as he can. It might be survival of the fittest.
Now Brent's making his 6th All-Star appearance. 3 with the American League and 3 with the National All-Star Game MVP in 2011. That was the year they hit the 3-run home run off of C.J. Wilson in Arizona. Won the Home Run Derby a couple of times, 2009 and 2012.
Britt said he might decline to do it, but he can't because his kids would not allow him to do that. They want to go and stand next to the cage and watch their dad win the Home Run Derby. Not much you can say if both of your kids say that to you.
Yeah.
No, Dad, you're playing. All right.
Yeah, you know, if it's just a fan that's writing in mail to you that I think you should play, that's one thing. When you see your kids all day, every day, it's a little tough to get around that.
Yeah. 20 years from now, they'd be saying, Dad, why would you want to be in that home run derby? Didn't you think you could win?
Or they'll decide that, hey, if you can decline the home run derby, I can decline taking the trash out.
Not eating my lima beans tonight
Yeah,
either.
right. Adrian Beltre, a 248 average with half a dozen home runs, 21 driven in, way inside at the shoe tops.
I think he jumped over that
I think
one.
he did too. I don't know how that missed him if he didn't.
Occasionally, Adrian will do a little dance. He
Yeah,
did. He jumped right over that one.
Skipping rope.
A lot of times when it's in, he'll shuffle his feet and do a little dance step. That time he had to dance, or otherwise it would have hit him in the ankle.
Wow. 2-1 the count. That ball's hit pretty well to center field. Pollock is going back. He is at the track, pulls up, and makes the catch right in front of the paddock. And a long Beltre fly ball. The Rangers are gone in the first. They strand a runner. After 1, no score. Good for them. Well, folks, on Sunday, the first 15,000 fans will get a Michael Young bobblehead courtesy of Globe Life. It's your last chance to see the Rangers before the All-Star break, so you don't want to wait to get your tickets. Just visit TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. You might want to do that this evening. Wellington Castillo leading things off, the Diamondbacks catcher up there, a 222 hitter. 6 home runs, 17 driven in. Gallardo missing a little bit high, 1 ball and 1 strike. Castillo, a pretty fair number of at-bats against Gallardo in the past. Castillo was with the Cubs when Giovanni was in Milwaukee. That's off the end of the bat foul, and it's 1-2. Castillo been swinging the bat pretty well lately. He's reached base safely in 14 of his last 16 ball games. hit at a 3.02 clip over that span. He's also been pretty good in interleague games. Gallardo to the wide, the 1-2 pitch. Looped out into left field, coming on. Delino to Shields. He'll have to pull up and play it on a hop. And Castillo has a leadoff single for the Diamondbacks. And let's go over and check in with Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Before the game, the Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from the big town of Fort Worth. You bet. On board the Boys and Girls Club of Fort Worth, all decked out in their Hawaiian shirts, courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Having a good time, right, guys and girls? Yeah. There you go. Steve Carlton, what's the Boys and Girls Club all about?
This program is we're mentoring teenage youth, gang-involved youth, to make them productive citizens. We call the Coming Up program in Fort Worth, been around over 20 years, and we just love them.
All right, well, good to have you out here tonight. Root on those Rangers, all right, guys? We'll see you soon. Appreciate it, Buzz.
All right, Knoxy, thank you. A one on, nobody out. Jared Saltalamacchia, former Ranger, up there from the left side, the switch hitter, handling DH chores tonight. And he takes a fastball on the outside corner. Salty hitting a joint 165 since being called up from AAA by the Diamondbacks. And Salty started the year off with Atlanta. 1-1 pitch coming. 2-1 now. Diamondbacks brought him up from AAA Reno back on the 29th of May. Excuse me, I said the Braves and Marlins that Salty started the year with. They released him the first part of May.
A little changeup by Giovanni right there.
Two and two. Gallardo a check of first. And misses high and tight. Well, the count has gone full. Saltalamacchia hit in the 7th spot in the order. He'll be followed by Chris Owings. Scoreless game with one on, one out, or nobody out here in the 2nd inning. Chirinos flashing the signs. Gallardo with a payoff pitch. He lost him. Oh, a single, now a walk. There are 2 aboard and nobody out for Chris Owings. Now the base on balls twice tonight for Gallardo in the first 7 hitters. That's something Giovanni has not really had to worry about of late.
Yeah, it's one thing walking Goldschmidt's, another thing walking Saltalamacchia. He's hitting 165. That was not in the game plan.
Only 2 times in the last 7 starts has he had as many as 3 walks in a game. Everything else has been 0-1 or 2. But you got 2 here in the early going. Chris Owings, a .238 batter. Rangers up at the corners, thinking about a bunt, and the bunt is popped up right back to Gallardo. They got a double play at first. Saltalamacchia caught halfway between first and second. And Gallardo able to double him off on the bunt.
Well, that was a bad bunt, and that's some bad base running right there. Saltalamacchia is running after that ball is popped up in the air. And as soon as you take a step and you see that ball go up in the air, you got to go back to first base. He's halfway to second and still running while that ball was in the air. Turned into a simple double play. Well, that'll turn a rally into something less than a rally.
Well, a little good fortune. The Rangers will certainly take that. Giovanni, now with Castillo at second and 2 outs, will face Nick Ahmed. Ahmed, a .245 hitter. Half a dozen home runs. He has driven in 20. Like quite a few of the Diamondbacks, he's been swinging that bat pretty well of late. Pops that one foul to the right. 0-1. Ahmed in his last 16 games has hit .328. Here's the last 16. He's also hit safely in his last six consecutive games. This Arizona team third in the National League in batting, and they're at 264. And also third in on-base percentage at 324. Chopper right back to Giovanni. Yeah, that'll do it. So from first and second, nobody out. Do a very quick inning. Diamondbacks strand a runner on a hit. After 1.5, no score. Brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick the summer off right. Ford is the best in Texas. Now Robbie Ray back to the hill. He will face Mitch Moreland, Josh Hamilton, and Elvis Andrus here in the second inning. Mitch steps in batting at .292. He is the team leader with those 14 home runs. 44 driven in. Ray's first pitch is right down through there for strike one. Mitch has been in a little bit of an offensive lull of late. Only 3 for his last 20 over 5 ball games. It's this one hard, but right into the overshift. The shortstop, Ahmed, on the second base, or first base side of second, handles that play, and there's one gone. Now Josh Hamilton will come up. Hamilton, a .303 average, a couple of home runs, 5 driven in. Sat out the last couple of games, came up with a little bit of soreness in the groin. Part of coming back from the time that he had off, not having a full spring training, not having any spring training. Coming back from shoulder surgery and coming over to the Rangers. Tweaked a hamstring and then trying to rehab from that. A wave and a miss, and the count moves to 1-2.
Slider, and a good one from Ray. Big slider. And another one, exact same pitch. Josh was able to lay off of one after swinging at the first one.
Josh brings in a 4-game hitting streak. He's gone 5 for 12 in those 4 games. 2-2 pitch. Pulled the Goldschmidt. Underhand to Ray covering for out number 2. Well, a couple of ground balls, 2 outs. And Elvis Andrus will be next. Elvis a .237 average with 3 home runs and 28 driven in. Elvis, like quite a few of the Rangers, have been struggling offensively of late. Snapped an 0 for 17 on Sunday, but go back over the last week of play, Elvis just 2 for 25. Into the ball club being challenged offensively. They have had a streak now that's extended for about 3/4 of a month where they've scored 2 runs or less in 11 of the last 17 games. That doesn't distinguish between home and road. It just hasn't mattered for the club. They've had a few offensive outbursts in there, but primarily it's been a real struggle each night. The numbers we talked about for Elvis in his last 7 ball games. A ball and a strike to count. Popped him up. Coming in from right field, Yasmani Tomas makes the catch, and the Rangers are retired in order. We have finished 2 here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Diamondbacks nothing. Be at the top of the order to face Giovanni Gallardo. Gallardo facing A.J. Pollock. Pollock flied out to center field as he began things. And just a moment ago, between innings, we had a chance to catch up with tomorrow night's starter, Matt Harrison. Matt Harris joining us now. Matt, you have to be looking forward to tomorrow night as much as anybody. We are, I know, and you have to be especially anticipating tomorrow evening.
Very excited about tomorrow night. It's been a long time since I've been on the mound, and you know, it kind of had those same nerves I felt when I made my debut back in 08, and just looking forward to this opportunity again and going out there and competing.
Matt, what are your expectations for yourself as far as where your stuff is right now after all your rehab?
I mean, I'm confident in myself to go out there and compete and get outs and get deep into the ball game tomorrow night, and hopefully make some good pitches tomorrow and keep the team in the game and give us a chance to win.
Matt, on the rehab starts you had, did you pick out anything that is, well, markedly different from the way you used to pitch that you have to do now?
I think I'm having to throw a little more off speed than I used to. The velocity's not where it used to be, so I'm learning how to pitch a little more with my off speed stuff, but I'm definitely had to throw in a lot of it in these rehab games, so I'm confident in that stuff and able to go out there and mix it up and keep the hitters off balance.
Well, Matt, we sure are looking forward to it. Best of luck to you, and no matter what happens, congratulations to you for making the effort of getting back in there.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate that.
All right. Matt Harrison, tomorrow night's starter. And A.J. Pollock hit that ball pretty well to right field. That chases Chu back to the warning track. for out number 1.
Both those balls that Pollock hit in the first inning to Delino and that one to Chu, off the bat, they just look like pop-ups, but hit them pretty good. Delino had to go back 375 feet in center field. I mean, they were easy outs, but they went a little farther than they looked like they were going to go.
You better check his bat supply. He's a good hitter, boy. Top of the order with the pop that he has.
First time All-Star this year. Yep. Rewarded for his performance.
David Peralta flares one out of play on the left-hand side, and 0-1 the count. Peralta went down swinging the first time that he faced Giovanni Gallardo tonight. Giovanni has struck out 2. He's also walked 2 and allowed a pair of base hits. Tied him up on that pitch up and in. That's basically the one he struck him out with. That cutter or hard slider. Home plate umpire Brian Honora taking a little extra time. Apparently he was giving Peralta a little time. Peralta must have said something. Maybe let out a yell or something when he swung and missed that pitch.
I thought he said, "Hey, Mr. Umpire, home plate's dirty. Would you clean it off for me?"
Yeah, it's
not enough. Keep going.
Not that you can't see it. I'm having trouble seeing it. 1-2 now to Peralta. And there's that slow breaking ball. This may be as many times as we've seen Giovanni break out that slow hook early in a ball game anyway. And I can remember he had been pretty much fastball, slider, changeup, and reserving that curveball for later on in the game. But he has gone to that pretty early here tonight. To the wind now, the 2-2 pitch. Ball 3.
Almost sunk a little too much.
Now the payoff pitch to Peralta. Got him on the fist and a 2-hopper. It's taken care of by Ogoa. 2 gone. Well, folks, Independence Day isn't the only time in July to see fireworks out here at Globe Life Park. Fans attending the interleague matchup against the San Diego Padres this Friday will be treated to a post-game fireworks show set to 80s music. Get discounted upper reserve tickets for July 10th using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at texasrangers.com/specials. Well, 2 away. Paul Goldschmidt drew a walk in the first inning. He lines one down the right side, just went out and poked it over the head of Mitch Moreland. And Goldschmidt, after a pretty big turn, is aboard with the 3rd hit of the night against Giovanni Gallardo. Boy, that is a pretty good piece of hitting there.
Yeah, you don't hit 350 if you can't hit every kind of pitch. And I think one of the hallmarks of a 350 hitter, one of the top 5 in either league in hitting, is that they use the whole field. And if you throw them away, they'll hit the ball the other way. And that's what Goldschmidt did.
Yeah, when Goldschmidt drew the walk in the first inning, Gallardo stayed away with all 4 pitches. And he just went up there and got a pitch in the same general location and went right with it. Yasmani Tomas had a base hit to left. His first time. He takes a strike here. Tomas, see a season average now of .318. He's been pretty much consistent over the last 17, 18 ball games. Hitting between 300 and 315 almost the entire time. Diamondbacks said when they signed him, he's offensively, he's very advanced. Defensively, we're still going to have to work with that a little bit. And that's exactly what we've seen from him. The difference between where he was in April when we saw him first and where he is now. Down to Moreland, and Mitch will just step on the bag at first. He's right there by him. And that'll do it. No runs a hit, 1 man left after 2.5. No score in Arlington. Back in this interleague matchup, so head on out to Globe Life Park. Have some summer fun out here and enjoy all the ballpark hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or as always, you can call 972-RANGERS if you prefer. Scoreless ball game. The Rangers coming to bat here in the bottom of the third, looking for their first base hit of the night. They've had just one base runner. That was a walk to Prince Fielder in the first. Shin-Soo Choo will lead things off. Robinson Chirinos and Delino DeShields will follow. 23-year-old left-hander Robbie Ray goes to work, and Choo hits one in the air to center. Pollock toward the alley in right center, or left center, makes the catch for out number 1. Robinson Chirinos coming up. Before we tell you about Robbie, let's send it back over to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. Robinson Chirinos, a .203 average with 8 home runs and 27 driven in. 1 ball, no strikes. Robinson on base percentage almost 300 at 299 right now. Just 1 for 7 on this homestand. A ball and a strike. Robinson, another one of the Rangers that's tailed off a bit offensively. He was 4 for his last 27. Robbie Ray back to the plate. 2-1. The Rangers facing Robbie Ray. This is the 3rd straight game that they have faced a left-handed starter. It's the 4th time in the last 6 games that they have had a southpaw on the hill. Chirinos just out in front of that a little bit. A towering pop foul. Over right at the tarpaulin. The shortstop, Nick Ahmed, makes the play for out number 2. The liner to Shields coming up. We're going to go over and check in with Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Look who we found here. Why, it's, oh, look at this. Hall of Famer, Nancy Lieberman. This is my all-time favorite women's basketball player. Did you get another selfie? I saw when you threw out the first pitch, you took the selfie over there. What was the game plan behind that?
The game plan was to turn and have the Rangers dugout behind me. I was looking for Derek Holland because he was giving me tips today. We were texting on what pitch I should throw. And he goes, just throw the one that's going over the plate.
And you threw the changeup, and that was nice.
It was a little high changeup.
All right, very good. Well, it's good to have you here tonight. I know you're a big-time Ranger fan, and also kind of like a Hall of Famer like you, keeping busy in the summertime. That's like plenty of basketball camps, right?
We just finished our first camp in June. This is our 35th year of camps and kids. It was packed. We have another one in August 10th, and so that'll be fun for me to be on the court with all the kids again.
Yeah, so I'm going to sign up for that one. I need a few pointers.
You need to be on the court with me.
I'm ready to go. All right, Nancy, good to see you, and I know
Thank
you're
you.
busy this summer. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Appreciate it. Thanks, Buzz.
All right, Noxie, thank you. Now, Deliner to Shields, who skied out to center, beginning things for the Rangers tonight. At the plate now. A ball and 2 strikes to count. Hits this one hard, but picked off by Jake Lamb, the third baseman. And it's another 1-2-3 inning. Robbie Ray now has retired 7 straight Rangers. We've finished 3 here in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Diamondbacks nothing. Join us for the Rangers Hall of Fame luncheon. This year's event is Friday up over in the Cholula porch here at Globe Life Park. And we're going to honor several members of the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame. Log on to TexasRangers.com/luncheon for information and to get your tickets today. It's the Texas Rangers Baseball Hall of Fame luncheon on Friday. Of course, the formal inductions will be out here on Saturday night. Diamondbacks at the plate here in the top of the 4th inning, and joining us as always, Mark McLemore. Mac, we didn't want to start without you, so we just kind of made it a fairly scoreless game, I guess. I'm going to put it that way.
I appreciate that. We'll get things started here.
Okay.
Bottom half.
All right. Now, you got Giovanni going pretty well. I noticed you did that.
I did. We had a little discussion before today's game, in my mind anyway, and I think he got it because he's doing well.
Yeah. 3 more zeros. Ho-hum. That's just what he does now, right?
Imagine that.
2-1 pitch is high. 3 balls and a strike to Jake Lamb starting off the top of the 4th inning. Lamb struck out the first time that he faced Gallardo. Now the 3-1. You remember in your years of playing behind, you played behind some pretty good pitchers. Guys on a roll like this, it had to be a lot of fun playing defense behind them.
You know, I have, and it's great when you can run out there and you know when you still look at that mound and that guy out there, you know you're going to be in the game. He's going to give you, 6-7 quality innings. The year in Seattle, obviously 2001, that really stands out because that's what we had every year.
Right.
I mean, all year long. Every starter went out there, made every start all year long. No starter missed a start. And they were just very consistent from top to bottom. The bullpen the same way. If they came out, you just felt good. You knew things were going to, you had a pretty good idea things were going to go well.
You know, that's what you just mentioned about the starters not missing a start. That maybe floored me more than anything else about that team.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys won, 185 games or however many it was. But starters, never, all 5 starters, every single time it was their turn to take the ball, they were out there.
That's tough to do.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it any other time, any other year, any other team. But that's extremely hard to do. I mean, you know it better than I do. I mean, a guy could just be tired, go through a bad stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know,
Sure.
they want to give a guy rest or something. But that year, that just wasn't it.
Well, and, you know, I mean, the way things have evolved in the last, say, 30 or 35 years, pitching-wise, that's almost unheard of for anybody. It was a time when no matter what, you went out there and did your job as best you could, and everybody accepted what happened. And that was just the way it was. But that's, you know, guys are, you know, very aware now of how your arm feels physically. And if there's any doubt at all about what's going on with an arm or a back or a leg, you're shut down for a while.
Right.
Period. And I think that's a good thing. It probably saves a lot of guys some serious damage. But that changes the way pitching is handled.
Yeah, it changes the makeup of a ball club, number one. You've got a long guy, a short guy, a lefty specialist, or maybe 2, a righty specialist, a setup guy for the setup guy, and then the closer. I tell you, it makes it much more difficult for hitters, too.
Sure.
Because you'll see, you may have faced a team for 2 or 3 years, and they may have the same bullpen, but you may have only had 1 or 2 at-bats against any particular guy other than a closer.
2-1 the count to Castillo. He's a looper into right center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Stopping at second is Lamb. So the 3rd inning out of 4, the Diamondbacks have a walk and now a base hit. And for the 2nd time in 4 innings, they have the first 2 men aboard.
Oh, just a little blooper by Castillo. Looked like he got jammed. Lofted it into shallow right center field. Last time they started out with a couple of men on. Next guy, Owings, bunted into a double play.
Well, the guy who was doubled off is at the plate now, so I don't think that's going to happen. Jared Saltalamacchia. We'll see if Chip Hale asks Saltalamacchia, his DH, to bunt. Salty drew a walk his only time up. 0-1.
Giovanni has definitely been tested in the first 4 innings as far as his scoreless streak goes. He's pitched around it in 3 straight innings. There's another challenge here in the 4th to try to do the same thing.
That streak, by the way, up to 32 1/3 at the moment. And strike 2 at the knees.
He dropped in a couple of perfect pitches on him.
Like that little cut slider, or whatever you want to call it, backdooring with it. Last 9 games against his former team, Jared Saltalamacchia hitting .385. Down on the 0-2 hole here. That's in the dirt. Nice stop by Robinson Chirino. Our Kubota Power Stats, we'll take a look at that scoreless streak. 32 1/3 innings right now. That's the 3rd longest streak in team history. He just passed one of Kenny Rogers' long streaks. It was 31 for Kenny. Kenny still has the lead overall, 39 consecutive scoreless innings. Charlie Hebb cobbled together 36 scoreless innings. 1-2 to Saltalamacchia. Got him swinging.
That was a good start, pitching your way out of it.
Strikeout number 3 for Giovanni Gallardo.
Oh, I went right with the fastball, right down the middle.
Now 1 gone now, and Chris Owings, who bunted into that double play in the 2nd. Owings, a .238 average with 2 home runs, 19 driven in. And Gallardo pumps in strike one. Wings checking with Andy Green, the third base coach down there. See what Chip Hale might have in mind here. The 0-1 coming from Gallardo. Owings, another of the Diamondback hitters that's swinging the bat pretty well of late. He's a .333 hitter over his last 7 games. Diamondbacks have been swinging it well virtually all year, but they've been pretty good of late. Just won 3 out of 4 at home against the Colorado Rockies. Showed bunt, takes the breaking ball going outside, and the count moves to 2-1. There's Chip Hale in his first year as the skipper of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Lamb at second, Castillo at first. 1 away here in the 4th inning. 2-2 the count. Giovanni already at 70 pitches in this ball game. Our Fox tracker showing you the last pitch right on the outside corner. The 2-2. Full count. Owings hitting 8th in the order. Will be followed by Nick Ahmed, the shortstop. And Giovanni, pretty good struggle here tonight. Opponent's average in his career against the Diamondbacks with runners in scoring position, he's pretty much shut him down. 167. Payoff pitch. High ball 4. That'll load the bases for Ahmed. So Giovanni Gallardo having more problems tonight than we've seen him, since the first part of June, as far as command is concerned. 4 walks in the ballgame. Mike Maddox going to go out and apply the magic touch.
A couple of long innings, the first and the fourth. And we talked about his ground ball percentage is 8th in the league. Almost 53%. Perfect time for a ground ball. Now that the Angels are gone, a ground ball might go at somebody instead of find a hole.
Yeah, good point.
Although the Angels have already jumped on Colorado. They've got 4 runs already. Albert Pujols has a 3-run homer. So they're still swinging the bats.
And Mike Maddox, I'm sure, reminding Giovanni that, hey, you're a ground ball pitcher now. Go ahead and throw one down there and throw him that good 2-seamer. Get Ahmed to roll over on one and get a ground ball at an infielder. We'll get you out of here with no damage. Ahmed tapped right back to Gallardo his first time. 0 for 1. Going the other way. Picked off by Odor. Well, wasn't a ground ball.
I don't think he's ever going to give up another run.
Second double play of the night lined into by the Diamondbacks. A hit, a couple of walks, and 2 runners are left. Sometimes you just got to have the right people in the right spot. After 3.5, we're still scoreless.
At Globe Life Park in Arlington, Rougned Odor with the great defensive play to end the top of the fourth, and he's been swinging a very hot bat of late and credits the minor league stint with his recent success.
When I was in minor leagues, I work a lot in my strike zone, swing my pitch, and I think that is the only thing that helped me a lot, because before I was doing everything, I like to be aggressive on the home plate. And now I'm just trying. I still be aggressive, but swing my pitch, and that's the only thing I'm working with, and that helped me a lot.
And so far, so good. It is working for Rougned Odor. We'll call it selective aggressiveness. It's working for Rudy, guys.
All right, Ed, thank you. Yeah,
I like that.
selective aggressiveness.
You have to select when you're going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Can't be aggressive all the time.
One ball and two strikes. Odor leading things off for the Rangers here in the fourth inning. Rougned went down swinging his first time up against the left-hander Ray. Rangers still looking for their first base hit against the lanky southpaw. Still 1-2.
Well, you listen to Rougned talk about what he worked on when he went back to AAA, and that was a perfect assignment for him. He was struggling at the big league level. Went down, worked on it, and had spectacular results. He hit .350 down there.
Not able to climb up on top of that high fastball. He's gone on strikes for the second time. One away for Prince Fielder.
Robbie Ray's had a little more than the Rangers can handle so far in this game. Only one base runner. That was the walk to Prince.
Well, I'm gonna jump out there. I'm gonna go with our second base runner here, and I'm gonna get in the booth, fellas.
Whoa.
I'm in the booth.
All right.
Out of play.
All right. I think he can do it.
Okay. Highest averages pre-All-Star in Ranger history. Pudge, 366 back in 2000. Prince, fifth on that list. Pudge had two of those top fives prior to the All-Star break. A ball and a strike to Fielder. Prince drew a walk his first time. High fly ball to right field. Way up there. It's not going to carry quite far enough. Tomas drifting with it as the wind played tricks on that fly ball. That is out number 2. And Adrian Beltre coming up. Folks, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SouthwestData StrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by the good folks at T-Mobile. Thought you had it, Mac.
Yeah.
He didn't miss it by much.
Not much. Not much.
Thought Adrian had one his first time, too. He had a fly ball to center field that pinned Pollock up against the padding.
He got the hanger. Look at him. He knows it, too, boy. You don't see any vibration on that one.
Oh, and 1 to Adrian. And that chopper foul. Mac, you've watched Adrian now since he's come back from the sprained ligament in his thumb. Does he look like he's 100% to you swing the bat yet?
He's not 100%. I don't think he is. I think we saw it there on that swing there. But I would say he's probably about 90. He can take a really good swing and barrel a lot of balls up still. But I don't think he's 100%. I'm not sure that he can get to 100% by playing. But even though whatever that percentage is right now, he's still pretty much better than most third basemen in the game. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
He's a big presence in that lineup, and it's not surprising that he's dealing with what he's dealing with and going out there every day. You won't hear him complain. You won't hear him make any excuses. And I think eventually he's going to start putting some numbers up.
See, every night he has something a little bit different padding-wise that he's trying. That's just for the thumb there to keep it between keep the hands separated just a little bit so that
otherwise they pinch together.
Drives this one to right field pretty well. That sends Tomas back, but he has room and makes the catch. Well, the Rangers again down in order. That's 10 straight now, set down by Robbie Ray. After 4, no score. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Yovani Gallardo back to the mound. It has not been an easy go for the right-hander, but he's put up 4 more zeros against the Diamondbacks. He allowed 4 hits, and he has walked 4. So he's had base runners all over the place. Top of the order for the 3rd time tonight. A.J. Pollock has twice flied out, once to center and once to right. And this kind of in contrast to the other outings that Giovanni has had of late. Pitch count getting up there, and that's one thing he hasn't had to deal with too much. The chopper foul by Pollock. 0-2. Giovanni has been able to manage maybe a long inning pitch count wise in each of his starts, but for the most part it's been pretty good. Last time out, for example, 6 innings through 94. That was the most he had thrown in that short a period of time. He had 105 and 8 1/3 against Toronto the time before that. And Pollock again fouling it back.
Look at his last start with 94 pitches and 48 strikes. And we look at today, he had 76 total pitches and 42 strikes, 34 balls. Is that a case of being effectively wild? Because he really hasn't given up anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a case for being fortunate, too. He's, like you say, sometimes you're better off having the right guy out there catching the ball and the right guy running the bases against you. It's a pretty good combination. You turn it into a double play each time. But I think you find that when guys are going well, when they have streaks going like Gallardo does, that things like that happen. It might take a fluke to break the streak. Up the middle. And Gallardo knocked it down. Pollock had stopped. He thought Gallardo had caught that. It dropped down to the ground. And so it goes as a 1-3 put out. Giovanni got one right at his midsection.
All that ab work is paying off right
there. I don't know how much glove it got, but it stuck right there. It really didn't matter whether Pollock ran or not.
So, 1 away. Now David Peralta, who has struck out and grounded to second, steps in. 1 ball, no strikes. No, and back to your question, Mac, I think that, this is one of those nights where Giovanni's trying to find what works for him best. I mean, he still doesn't have a good feel for it yet, I don't think. His two-seam fastball, he hasn't had the command of it the way we've seen in the last several starts. So he's been throwing more four-seam fastballs and the cutter or slider. That ball hit pretty well left field. Hamilton going back, retreating, and can't make the play. It's off his glove and off the wall. Not stopping at second is Peralta. There will be no relay throw as Peralta in at third safely. That ball slicing back toward Josh Hamilton. Looked like it kind of fooled him at the last second a little bit.
Yeah, that ball really carried. Josh looked like he had a decent jump on it. And right at the end, looks like he was going to run it down. Got the glove on the ball. Let's see where it hit the glove. He closed his glove before the ball was in his glove. Watch his thumb. See a thumb closed and it hit off the outside part of his glove.
And that's going to be scored a triple.
Well, here's another test of that scoreless streak.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt up there. The Rangers pulling the infield all the way in. Goldschmidt 1 for 1, a walk and a single. I would be very surprised in this situation if he gets anything to hit.
Yeah, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. You say before the game, this is the guy you don't want to beat you. I wouldn't think he would get much good to hit.
His single, the line shot the other way. Gets that right on the inside corner. That's that, or somewhere close to it. That's the cut fastball or slider, whatever you want to call it, in the front door. Well, Giovanni, again with a runner at third. He has had a runner at third now 3 innings out of the 5 that he has worked here tonight. 2 balls and a strike. Paul Goldschmidt in the National League, first in average, first in walks, tied for first in runs, second in both on base and slugging percentage, and second in RBI. Other than that, he's had a very quiet year. That's pretty impressive.
That's not bad.
The 2-1 coming. 3-1. And a guy that you don't hear nearly enough about.
No, you really don't. You don't hear much at all about it. And the guys with the uniforms on down there, they know all about it.
Well, he's got a great chance to steal 30 bases this year, too.
Yeah. Wow. Now that I did not know about him. I knew he was a great player, both defensively and offensively, but I did not know he was a base stealer as well.
Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Well, he draws the walk, and on a very close pitch. Now they're runners at first and third. Yasmani Tomas coming up, and before we see him, here comes Mike Maddox.
I don't think he swung. I don't have any problem with that walk.
Nope.
Chances of throwing him strikes and keeping that run from scoring aren't really good. You walk him. Well, Tomas hit a hard ground ball at somebody. Turn another double play. Maybe a traditional one here.
Well, or a line drive at Rubnet or somebody.
Now let's see maybe like a line shot to Adrian diving toward the line, and as he comes down, he touches the base.
Lying on the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if that's what Mike orders up. So far, he's ordered up 2 line drive double plays. Well, no, 1 line drive, 1 bunt. So he did vary it a little bit. Now, Tomas stepping in, 1 for 2 tonight, and a first inning single. Last time up, grounded out to Mitch Moreland. Runners at first and third. Peralta at third. Goldschmidt over at first. Tomas a .316 average as he steps to the plate. On the outside corner for strike 1. Tomas, as we mentioned, a rookie this year. He is first in average of rookies, that .316 average. Second in hits, and he's third in on-base percentage in the rookie category.
There's that pitch. He swung at that pitch about 3 or 4 times earlier in the season in Arizona. The pitch way out of the strike zone. He must have begun to lay off it pretty regularly to be hitting 315. That pitcher's way out of the strike zone. He's just guessing that he's going to get a decent pitch to hit, made up his mind, and he swung at it anyway.
I'll throw it back up there again. See if you do it one more time. 0-2. Gallardo ready. There goes Goldschmidt. The pitch is swung on and missed. Goldschmidt will swipe second, but that is a huge out, number 2. 16th stolen base for Goldschmidt, but a big strikeout because Monty Tomas.
That's called working a guy over. You get him to swing at a fastball up and in, and then you throw the cutter a little bit outside, and that's the swing you end up with right there.
That is the I'm really looking in for that pitch again,
Yeah.
and there it is. Away.
Mind was willing, the posterior, however, was not.
And the only reason I'm laughing is because I've looked like that plenty of times.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
Now a big breaking ball into Jake Lamb for strike 1. Lamb has struck out and walked tonight, 0 for 1. Got runners at second and third, 2 outs, and Giovanni Gallardo still trying to work out of a difficult spot.
I got to think the percentage of pressure pitches is higher in this game than any game he's pitched all year. Looks like they've had men in scoring position every game, every inning, except the third. I guess they only had one man on in the third.
Yeah, that's right.
Other than that, there's been guys all over the bases.
Gallardo agrees with Robinson Chirinos. Little broken bat into center field. That's going to score a couple. Peralta scores. Goldschmidt scores. And there goes the streak for Giovanni Gallardo. A 2-run single by Jake Lamb on a busted bat. And the Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead.
Well, with all the base runners, I guess eventually something was going to happen. It's too bad that's the hit that did it. The cutter up and in right where he wanted it just shattered the bat. I'm just surprised where that ball hit the bat that it went as far as it did.
It almost looked like that ball got hit twice by the bat. Once on the fist and then once the bat head flying out. So the scoreless streak stops at 34 consecutive scoreless innings for Giovanni Gallardo. See, it did. It did. The bat head came loose.
That's probably why the ball went so far.
We kid about sometimes the ball looked like it got hit again. Well, it did get hit again.
The thruster came into play. That was a blooper to second. Blooper to second until it got hit by the bat.
Watch this. Bat's going to break. Boom. Here comes the bat hit. Boom.
Wow, I guarantee you that's why that ball went so far.
I agree.
It didn't look like the ball could go that far where it hit the bat, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah, I thought Ruby had a play on it right away. But
now, if that was golf, it'd cost you 2 shots.
That's unbelievable.
Fastball into Wellington Castillo. 0-1 the count. Castillo is singled twice, very softly. Jake Lamb at first. He has driven in the first 2 runs of this ball game for Arizona. He now has 17 RBI.
I wonder if Lamb knows the ball hit the bat twice.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
He wouldn't
couldn't
have
feel it.
it.
He
No.
couldn't have felt it because the bat was in 2 when it happened.
Pitch out and Lamb staying put. Yeah, there should be something in the rules about that. You can't.
Without that camera, which is relatively new, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone ever would have known that.
I don't think so.
Like you said, it looked like it hit twice, but you really, I don't think would have known it.
So here's the question then: is that 2 hits?
No, I think it's 1 for 2.
One for 2.
The first one would have been an out.
This ball hit well to left field. Hamilton back on the track, and he hauls in that shot from Castillo. Side retired, but Diamondbacks break through. They get 2 runs on 2 hits and strand 1 halfway through the game. Arizona 2-0 over the Rangers. Summer Classic. Home field advantage for the World Series on the line. Our coverage of the 2015 MLB All-Star Game begins next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Well, Rangers now trailing by a couple. Mitch Moreland takes strike one. Mitch had a ground ball to the shortstop, and in this case, Nick Ahmed playing on the first base side of second. Overshift on for the Diamondbacks. The third baseman Lamb at the normal shortstop spot. This might be a spot where Mitch Moreland might consider pushing a bunt down over there. Yes, he wouldn't. 1-2. Mitch with the average at 291 as he faces Ray. Rangers still looking for their first base hit. Ray has retired 10 straight. Rangers' only base runner was Prince Fielder back in the first inning. Drew a walk. Giovanni Gallardo, Prince Fielder. Giovanni's streak. And a slowly hit ground ball right into the teeth of the shift. Mitch is retired, one away. And along with the All-Star consideration, there's a final vote set up. Now the 5 men in that final vote. Xander Bogaerts for the Red Sox. Yoenis Cespedes for the Tigers. Brian Dozier of the Twins. Brett Gardner of the Yankees. And Mike Moustakas of the Kansas City Royals. Fans determine that final spot. Voting at MLB.com ends on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, that's some tough choices there. Some good people to choose from. Dozier, leadoff hitter, walks a little bit, hits some home runs, steals some bases. Bogaerts had moved from down in the bottom of the order to the middle of the lineup, hitting around 300. Cespedes been around 300 with power all season long. Moustakas has been among the league leaders in RBIs. Pretty good group to choose from.
Sure is. Josh Hamilton grounded out to first his first time up. Takes a strike here, and it's 1-2. Robbie Ray doing a pretty good job of nailing down that outside corner. And that high fastball tap foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes. I mentioned Robbie Ray, just a 23-year-old. He is out of Tennessee and originally taken by the Washington Nationals. Another one into the teeth of that shift. Owings on to first, 2 gone. Now before Elvis Andrews steps in, let's send it over to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you.
Well, Buzz, we were talking about trying to stop Trout and Pujols, and everyone else went crazy. Today, Trout has a home run, and Pujols has a 3-run homer, so this Colorado's not stopping anybody.
Elvis, Lions wonder why that's in for a base hit. Well, the Rangers, with 2 outs in the 5th inning, get their first base hit of the night off of Robbie Ray. Now Elvis aboard. Here is Shin-Soo Choo. Choo, a fly ball to center as he led off the 3rd inning. Strike 1. Nice crowd on hand here tonight. Breezy, muggy evening at Globe Life Park. Just trying to turn up the heat a little bit on Robbie Ray.
You know, it's really been strange, the number of left-handers that we've seen in just the first half this year.
Yeah.
It seems like that's typically how many you see during the course of the year and not just the first half.
Yeah, a lot more righties than lefties, but you wouldn't know it by who the Rangers are facing, that's for sure, Mac.
0-1 pitch from Ray. Sky to really shallow left field. Peralta toward the line and makes the grab. That'll do it. Rangers do get a base hit, but strand a runner. We played 5. The Diamondbacks lead 2-0. Mac will see you after the ballgame on Rangers Live. Become the Whataburger What-A-Fan. Come on out tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning to Whataburger at 311 West Camp Wisdom Road in Duncanville and sign up for a chance to win 4 lower-level tickets to the Rangers-Tigers game on September the 30th, plus a VIP tour of Globe Life Park. All that tomorrow at the Whataburger. Big little door and tickets for you. Well, Giovanni Gallardo back to the hill. He will face Jared Saltalamacchia to start off this 6th inning. He misses for ball 1. A note on Giovanni's streak, scoreless streak, is officially 33 1/3 innings. You don't. The drive to right field. Chu is going back. It's over his head and off the wall. Chu plays the carom well and holds Saltalamacchia to a long single.
Nice job.
Chu playing that carom very well, and that's a leadoff base hit for Saltalamacchia, his first hit of the night. That was the same location that he swung through for a strikeout last time up. Gave that a pretty good ride. But anyway, about Giovanni's scoreless streak, apparently you don't, at the tail end, at the end of the streak, you don't get credit for anything less than a full inning. So, you know, you give up a run in the middle of the inning, you just get credit for the last full inning you pitch. So 33 1/3 is the official length of the scoreless streak for Gallardo. That's still third longest in Rangers history. But it has become a thing of the past now. And Giovanni's trying to start a new one here.
Well, it looked like he was going to pitch out of it again.
Yep.
When he struck out Tomas, 1st and 3rd and 1 out. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And then Lamb had that unusual hit where he smashed his bat and hit the ball twice.
He was using a bat with an
second time propelled it over the second baseman's head.
He used a bat with an elbow in it and he slapped it out there. There's that big slow hook that's in to Chris Owings. And the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Owings bunted into a double play back in the 2nd. Last time up walked. Giovanni tonight, 5 walks in a ball game that has been anything but typical of what he's been doing lately. 5 walks for Gallardo. A high for this year. His previous high, 4 walks back on May 3rd against the A's. Oh and 2, the count to Owings. Just wide with the breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Diamondbacks 7 hits now. They were able to put 2 together along with a walk in that 5th inning. Gallardo still has not had a 1-2-3 frame tonight. Right-handers ready, a check of first. We will try the 1-2 pitch again. That's Giovanni against this Arizona club. 7-1 lifetime. You go back, among active pitchers that have had at least 50 innings pitched against the Diamondbacks. Giovanni's ERA at 2.12 ranks 2nd. Also 5th in opponent's average at 2.13. Double play grounder, Elvis Odor, and Rugnet can't get a clean handle on it as he pulls the ball out of his glove. But the force play will remove Salt to Lamacchia. Oh, now Owings at first with 1 out.
Good feed from Elvis. Got rid of it quickly. Maybe a little bit low. Let's take a look. Looked like the Rangers were going to be able to turn it. And it's a little bit off to the side, just a little bit. Ideally, you'd like that about chest high as you're coming across the bag. As he's coming across the bag, a little bit low, but I think it's one that normally he would handle and throw to first.
Yeah, I think you're right. So 1 out now, the number 9 hitter, Nick Ahmed. Is a double-barreled action going in the Ranger bullpen. Sam Freeman, the left-hander, and Spencer Patton up and throwing. Ahmed tonight is lined into a double play and tapped back to the mound. Owings drawing the attention of Giovanni Gallardo. Diamondbacks as a team this year, 74 steals in 102 attempts. Make that 75 steals now with Paul Goldschmidt having that theft in the 5th inning. Shallow left center field. Hamilton and DeShields coming. Delino DeShields makes the call on the catch for out number 2. Delino and Josh talking about the communication between the two of them. They have not played together in the outfield.
Well, they're both yelling for it, but the center fielder has the call, and Josh right at the end hears Delino yelling for it, backs off, and Delino makes the play. It's one of those balls. It's a simple play for either one of them, but it's up to the center fielder to take charge.
Well, 2 outs, and A.J. Pollock for his 4th plate appearance. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Takes strike 1. Pollock's average, as you can see right now, at an even 300. On base percentage coming in at 346, but that a little above that of late. Mentioned a lot of these Diamondbacks hitters have been pretty hot lately. They have been swinging the bats well against almost everybody. Giovanni reading the signs. The right-hander's ready. There goes Owings. The pitch is outside. The throw is high. It's away from Elvis. The stolen base for Chris Owings. Gets him in scoring position.
Tough pitch to catch and throw. It's down. He has to reach for it. And then on top of that, Owings had a pretty good jump.
Well, the Diamondbacks now with 80 stolen bases this year. 1 ball, 1 strike is the count. Base hit by the dive of Elvis Andrus. Here comes the throw from Hamilton. It is not in time. The throw to second is late and goes into center field. Pollock up, motoring on into third. He drives home the 3rd run of the night for the Diamondbacks. It's now 3-0. And Pollock ends up over at third with 2 outs. Well, that stolen base comes back to haunt Giovanni Gallardo and the Rangers. And that is going to do it for the Ranger right-hander.
A good try by Josh. He made a strong throw, but Owings just had a little bit too much speed. Elvis trying to knock it down, keep the runner at third base. Couldn't quite get to it to accomplish that. Giovanni reaches a fairly high pitch count, and that'll be it.
So Gallardo finished, and Sam Freeman coming on. We'll tell you about him when we come back right after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. Groups of 20 or more enjoy savings up to 45% off tickets. And seating is available in 7 different areas. Visit TexasRangers.com/groups and plan an outing for your group. Sam Freeman, the 27-year-old left-hander, on now to face David Peralta. Freeman taking over for Giovanni Gallardo.
Sam's numbers getting better and better. His ERA was a lot higher than that 4 or 5 outings ago. Almost a strikeout per inning. Throwing hard slider, getting the job done.
Fires that fastball in there and evens the count at 1-1. Peralta, a triple in 3 trips to the plate. Hitting with Pollock down at third, and that's not going to matter now because Sam Freeman gets him on a comeback. Well, that'll do it. As Freeman comes in and gets the final out of the inning. Diamondbacks add a run on 2 hits. They lead 1 after 5 1/2, 3-0 Arizona. to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is $2,600 and dinner for two at a Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Richard Darr from Garland, Texas will win $2,600. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Richard is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now, Robinson Chirinos will be the first to face Robbie Ray here in the sixth. There's the Hawaiian t-shirt.
Look at that. That's an ingenious way to wear
Yeah,
it.
I wouldn't have thought of wearing it that way, but that's unique. One ball, no strikes. Ray back to the plate. 1-1. Chirinos hit a pop foul to the shortstop, Nick Ahmed, his first time up. Rangers just one base hit. That was a two-out single by Elvis Andrus last inning, I should say. 1-2 now.
Nice play up in the luxury box suite area. When you're that high, you have a better chance with a glove, but you don't really need one. It's not going all that fast when it gets way up there. Sometimes it's just starting its way down.
Still a ball and two strikes.
Oh, he gave it to a little boy, and a little boy just launched it right down into the seats below him out of nowhere. And he's getting a very, very stern look from his father. And now he's looking for comfort from his mother.
2-2 the count.
See that all the time. Especially when it's a little kid, anywhere from 3 to 5. Give him the ball, and the little boy thinks, well, you gave me a ball, I'm supposed to throw it. He doesn't realize what's going on.
Supposed to fire that someplace.
Yep.
And Ray missing badly upstairs. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Oh, man.
Bouvet
had his camera looking for it, but he is blocked by the building.
Yep. That's our angle at it. Sorry about that.
I might have just been making that up for all you know.
Chirinos going after that high fastball, and that is strikeout number 3.
Anytime I know that Bruce can't get his camera on it, I can pretty much say whatever I want. Could be exposed, though, if someone else has the look.
Yeah. With all the video phones and things like that we have. Now, one away, and back to the top of the Ranger order. Delino DeShields, 0 for 2, will step in.
Well, Robbie Ray is just kind of mowing right through the Ranger lineup.
Yes, he is. First ball swinging, a high pop foul that will get back into the seats down the right side. Owings over to take a look. That's well back out of play.
Well, Ray has had 7 starts coming into this game, and he has a solid ERA, 2.55. Opponent's batting average is only 2.29. 42 innings, 11 walks. That's a good number. That's about the way he's pitching today. He's only walked 1, only given up 1 hit.
And another pop foul just about in the same place. Delino must have some friends down there, making sure they all get the souvenirs to take home. Delino 0 for 2 tonight. A fly ball to center, a ground ball to third. Ranger fans may remember that Robbie Ray, when he was with the Tigers, had a start against the Rangers. Fly ball to right. That is out number 2. That was last May. Got called up to the Tigers to take Verlander's place. Verlander went on the disabled list for a little while and had 7 starts. Went 1-4 for Detroit. And they start against the Rangers. Took his first career loss. Robbie Ray gave up 2 runs and 4 hits is all in 6 2/3. So he has a history against the Ranger club of keeping him down pretty well. Rougned Odor fouls it back and out of play. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Odor has struck out both times that he has faced the Diamondbacks left-hander tonight. Still 0-2. Ray with 3 strikeouts, 2 of them to Odor, 1 to Chirinos. Ray has walked 1. That was Prince Fielder back in the first inning. And another 0-2 pitch. Call, strike 3. Now the hat trick for Rougned Odor. Rangers gone in order with a couple of strikeouts. We finished the 6 innings here at Globe Life Park. The Diamondbacks leading the Rangers 3-0. David Peralta lofts a long triple off the glove of Josh Hamilton. And then 1 out later, Jake Lamb, a broken bat looper to center, scored both Peralta and Goldschmidt. And that was the first 2 runs for Arizona. Rangers didn't have a hit until Elvis Andrus had a 2-out single in the 5th inning. And it has been all Arizona here in the first 6 frames. 3-0 Diamondbacks as we head to the 7th inning. Arizona 8 hits tonight. Rangers 1 hit. And a new pitcher on the mound for the Texas Rangers. That would be the 22-year-old right-hander Keone Kela. Kela in his 39th ball game. He has come out often and been very effective coming out of the Ranger bullpen. Last time we saw Keone 5 days ago in the last game in Baltimore. Picked up the win in that with two-thirds of an inning of scoreless relief. First pitch to Paul Goldschmidt is in for strike 1. Goldschmidt a couple of walks and a single. 1 for 1 tonight, hitting at an even .350. Also scored the 2nd run of the night for Arizona. There's that big breaking ball from Kela. Severe downer.
Sure was. It's been a great first half of this rookie season for Keone. Been a good learning experience for him. He's pitched in tough situations, had to pitch out of a lot of jams, given up some key hits at times, but overall he's handled himself like a veteran instead of a rookie. Numbers are great. Pitched a lot too. He's on pace to throw 75 games.
Yeah.
Have almost 70 innings. Strikeout per inning. Good walk totals. He's not the kind of rookie you're just trying to find spots for to get him work. He's part of the rotation
sure
out
is.
there.
Sure is. Another 0-2 pitch to Goldschmidt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, Goldschmidt, by going 1 for 1 now, is pulled into a flat-footed tie with Miguel Cabrera for the major league lead with that .350 average. Remember, Cabrera will fall out of the league statistics here in a couple of weeks. He's going to be on the disabled list for up to 6 weeks. Chopper to Elvis, who charges and throws. He is out number 1. Next will be Yasmani Tomas. And before Tomas steps in, let's check in with Jim Knox.
All right, Buzz, real quick, want to remind tomorrow night here at Globe Life Park is TCU night. That's right, Horned Frogs, come on out to Globe Life Park. We'll see you there. And if you're not a TCU fan, the good news is, hey, it's Dollar Dog Night, Ben. Not bad. Ben will be in the stands tomorrow night. Come see him as well, Buzz.
Thanks, Knoxie. Kind of makes my throat raspy. Just
he sounds like the hot dog man from about 25 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
At the old ballpark.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
I do.
I think that guy finally had to retire because he did lose his voice. He yelled like that the whole game every day.
You could hear him in all parts of Grand Prairie and Fort Worth and every place else around the ballpark out there. 0-1 the count to Tomas. Did he go? No, he did not. He appealed down to first. And Alan Porter said, nope, no swing, 1-1. Tomas tonight 1 for 3. Had a first inning single. Average right where he began the game at 315. And he lines one over the leap of Elvis into left field. And Tomas with his second hit of the night.
Yeah, that curveball stayed up a little bit for him. He was fooled a little bit by the speed of it. Looks like he jumps out in front of it a little bit, but it's up in the middle of the strike zone and serves it out to left field.
Well, that is the 9th Arizona hit tonight. They have had at least 1 hit in every inning this evening. Tomas aboard. Jake Lamb has one of those 9 hits. That was the big 2-run single that got Arizona on the board for the first time back in the 5th inning. Lamb with a 2 RBI now with 17 for the season. And that average up to 291. Kella, okay, is the sign. The right-hander's ready. Good fastball poured in for a strike. Lamb, the Diamondbacks minor league player of the year last year. Very highly prized prospect. He's rated as the 5th best prospect by MLB.com, the 6th best prospect for Arizona by Baseball America. And he lines that to right field for a base hit. Tomas at second puts the brakes on as Chu gets the ball back in. Back-to-back 1-out singles. Wellington Castillo is next.
Yeah, Lamb's one of those guys that can hit. He was a 6th-round pick, went to the University of Washington, and throughout his minor league, look like a changeup. Throughout his minor league career, he's about a 320 hitter. One of those. I know all the kids are looking younger, Buzz, but he looks like he's about 18.
Yeah.
He looks younger than his years. But he's a 320 minor league hitter. He's on a good streak right now and has his average up somewhere around 290.
And not only is he on a good streak, the Diamondbacks are on a pretty good streak. This is their 8th consecutive game with 10 or more hits.
Well, you know, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that, but I was looking at all the hitters, and like every one of them, 370 the last 8 games, 320 the last 4 games. I mean, they've all got some type of a decent streak going, and I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, this
scoring
is
that many runs and getting that many hits.
The longest streak that they've had in their franchise history. No, excuse me. The record is 10 straight. That was back in September of '99. And this is the longest streak since then. Oh, 0-2 is the count to Wellington Castillo. Castillo, a couple of singles into center field, also flied to left field. We got Tomas at second, Lamb at first. 1 out here in the 7th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There are your runners. Lamb trailing Yasmani Tomas. Got him swinging. Boy, that is a devastating hook. I would think the first couple times you see that, it's almost unbelievable.
Well, yeah, even Goldschmidt swung and missed at it the first time he saw it. Breaks straight down. I'm sure Castillo, for the first part of the flight of that ball, thought it was a fastball. And by the time he got done swinging, he realized that it was a curveball that bounced about a foot out in front of home plate. If it bounced high, he might have hit it on a bounce.
A little cricket action going on.
Yeah, why not? Seen the ball hit twice for a 2-run single today.
Yeah, that's right. Here's Saltalamacchia, who is 1 for 2. Saltalamacchia walked in the second inning, struck out in the fourth, and then had a leadoff single in the sixth. Kella back to the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Remember, Salty came over as part of that, really the centerpiece of that big trade for Mark Teixeira back in 2007. Really set the Rangers up. Elvis Andrews part of that. Matt Harrison. Neftali Feliz. Rangers reaping a big benefit from that trade. And Saltalamacchia, who was the major league ready player in that deal. Elvis came along to the major leagues in 2009. Saltalamacchia traded to Boston in 2010 by the Rangers. 1 ball and 2 strikes here. Runners on the move. The pitch is outside. The throw not in time. Tomas steals third, and stealing second is Jake Lamb.
Arizona definitely likes to run. They are running the bases tonight.
Four stolen bases now for the Diamondbacks. So runners at second and third with 2 out. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Saltalamacchia. Got him swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts ends the 7th inning. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. We'll take the stretch in Arlington with the Diamondbacks leading 3-0. Just use hashtag Southwest Data StrongFan, and you just might see yourself on an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by the good folks at T-Mobile. Fans having a good time out here at Globe Life Park tonight. about ready for a Ranger comeback here in the late innings. Bottom of the 7th. And Prince Fielder to lead things off. Adrian Beltre, Mitch Moreland to follow against Robbie Ray. Ray has been tough. Just one hit through the first 6 innings, and he fires strike 1 to Prince. Fielder reached back in the first, the only walk that Robbie Ray has issued. It's also flied to right field. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ray back to him. A broken bat roller to first. Goldschmidt will take it to the bag himself. And that is out number 1. Boy, that was a serious saw-off job right there. Well, Fielder retired before Adrian Beltre comes up. Let's send it over to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. The shortstop, Nick Ahmed, in to give Robbie Ray a little breather, give him time to recover after that jaunt over to first base he just had. 1 out, Adrian Beltre, who has fly deep to center and line deep to right. 0 for 2 tonight. And he lines again to center field, this right at A.J. Pollock.
Boy,
that is 3
every time tonight.
Yeah, that's 3 of them hit right on the nose. And Adrian, well, you want results, but I don't think without the results, I don't think he got 3 much better at bats than that.
Hit one that looked like it was going to be a home run in the first inning that was run down at the warning track. A line drive to the warning track and right. Now a line shot to center field. 3 good, solid at bats for Adrian.
Well, very quickly, 2 outs here in the 7th. Mitch Moreland will step in. Mitch has twice pulled the ball to the right side, grounded into the shift both times. Trying to go the other way, and he does it successfully. By the dive of Lamb, the third baseman. And Mitch Moreland taking exactly what he was given. A 2-out single.
That's smart hitting. You have 3 infielders on the right side and only 1 on the left side, so it stands to reason if you hit a ground ball that way, you got a better chance of finding a hole. And he did.
Well, just the second Ranger base hit of the night. Mitch aboard with 2 outs. And Josh Hamilton will come up now. Again, the Diamondbacks in that extreme overshift, just as they were with Mitch Moreland. And Hamilton trying to take it the other way. Or at least it looked like it. 0-1. Josh twice has pulled the ball and grounded into the shift. Good look from overhead at Owings, the second baseman, playing out there in shallow right. He's the rover out there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hamilton in interleague games in this ballpark. This goes back for his whole career. A .388 hitter. 31 games and has driven in 25. And he does take it the other way, but the shortstop will throw to second just in time to get the sliding Moreland. 5-6 on the force at second base. The Rangers are gone in the 7th. No runs a hit. They strand a runner. 8th inning coming up at Globe Life Park. The Diamondbacks leading the Rangers 3-0.
a Ranger fan from day one. He's such a big Ranger fan. You even have somewhat of a Ranger blog. What's this called?
Rangers.nation.
I understand a couple of Rangers follow you. Like who?
Prince Fielder, Leonis Martin, Ruvnet Odor.
And everybody thinks it's a grown guy doing it. It's a 12-year-old. You know everything about the Rangers. Give us an upcoming prospect.
Nomar Mazzara. He's with AA Frisco right now.
All right, we'll look for him. All right, Jake. Well, congratulations. Thanks for being out here. You know who Tom and Buzz are, right? Who?
The announcer.
There you go. You're a good Ranger fan right there. There we go. Way to go, Jake.
All right. Well, we head to the 8th inning, and Spencer Patton has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over. Patton becomes the third member of the bullpen to come on to pitch tonight. And he will be facing Chris Owings to start off the top of the 8th inning. And Spencer fires strike one. Patton's numbers, that ERA inflated by the 6-run outing that he had last time in just 2/3 of an inning. To right field, coming on is Shin-Soo Choo. He's able to make the grab. Owings retired. One gone. Nick Ahmed coming up. Last time out, Spencer Patton, 2/3 of an inning against the Angels. That was the game where, well, you say which one, where nothing went right. It was 4th of July. The fireworks started prematurely by the Angels. Other than that, in his last 5 outings, that's the only time he's been scored upon. Has one out here, and Nick Ahmed, who is 0 for 3, steps to the plate. And Patton gets that slider on the outside corner. Ahmed hitting at .242 with 6 home runs and 20 RBI. 0-2. Talking about Spencer Patton, and he came over last year from Kansas City in the deal that sent Jason Frazier to the Royals, and you just saw that Jason Frazier was designated for assignment by Kansas City.
Yeah.
And he makes some space on the roster and cut ties with Frazier. Now the 0-2. Ahmed stepping back in the box. Sits safely now in 7 straight games, and he hits it deep down the left field line, but back into the seats.
No, Ahmed, a couple of years ago, Buzz won the Gold Glove for the best fielding shortstop in the minor leagues. That's the same award that Hanser Alberto won last year. So Ahmed comes into the big leagues with a great reputation as a defensive player. And this year, at least over the last couple of weeks, starting to come into his own offensively a little bit as well. Just a 2nd-round draft pick out of the University of Connecticut.
Still a ball and 2 strikes after a couple of foul balls.
Connecticut had some really good players come out of there over the last 4 or 5 years. George Springer, I think, was one of them.
Yeah.
Right. A pitcher, too. I can't remember his name, but was a #1 draft choice. Lee Mazzilli's son was there, too, on the Ranger.
Patton back up on top of the hill. Got a 1 ball and 2 strikes still. And a looping drive over the reach of Rugnet Odor into right field. A base hit for Nick Ahmed. 1 on, 1 out. Back to the top of the order once again. And A.J. Pollock coming up. How many of those do you think we saw in the Angels series, just out of the reach?
Just out of the reach of all different kinds, counting ground balls and line drives. I'd say 15. Felt like that anyway.
Hasn't slowed down much here tonight either. The only difference is Arizona hasn't mixed in line drives
and home runs.
Yeah, and home runs the way that the Angels did.
The Angels had 10 runs tonight in their game against Colorado. Angels look like they're ready to make a move on the Astros.
Sure do.
Offense coming into its own. Starting pitching has been strong, and now their bullpen's starting to come together too.
And speaking of bullpens, Ross Detweiler and Tanner Scheppers in the Ranger bullpen. Pollock fouls it off to the right, 0-1. A.J. Pollock 1 for 4 and an RBI single in the 6th inning. Diamondbacks 3 runs on 11 hits tonight. Rangers benefited with by a couple of double plays, line drive double plays or pop-up double plays. And a bunt double play in the second, and then a line drive double play in the 4th. Helped the cause out quite a bit. Patton staring in for the sign, and the right-hander stepping back off the pitching rubber. In case you weren't with us, Yovani Gallardo worked 5 2/3 innings. His scoreless streak came to a close after 33 1/3 innings tonight. Gave up a couple of runs in the 5th inning of work. Gave up one more without completing the 6th. Gave up 8 hits in 5 2/3, 3 runs, 5 walks and 4 strikeouts. Spencer Patton is following Sam Freeman and Keone Kela to the mound. 1 ball and 1 strike to Pollock. Now 1-2. Chirinos flashing the signs out. Another foul ball. Rangers captain. He got that spider out again. He had that out here.
Kids love that.
Yeah.
Unless they're the one that gets scared by it. They probably don't like it too much. Look at all the fans watching. Who's next? She loved that. See that spider and turn around and see a horse.
Whoa!
Not funny.
Yeah. Got him swinging. Snap throw to first, and not quite in time. Pollock, though, down on strikes. That is the second out, and David Peralta will be next. Good hard slider from Spencer Patton. And with 2 outs, Peralta, the left-handed hitter, coming up, and Jeff Bannister on his way to the mound. Presumably wants the left-hander Detweiler to come in. And Ross will make his way in from the bullpen, so he will inherit a runner at first and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. A pitching change underway at Globe Life Park. We will be back right after this timeout. free award-winning game millions are playing. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and Google Play. Well, Ross Detweiler, the 29-year-old left-hander, on now to take over here in the 8th inning. Arizona leading 3-0. Detweiler in his 17th ball game. His first 7 were as a starter. 7.12 ERA, a little bit blown out of proportion. And opponent's batting average still way up there at 343. Last time we saw Ross was on the 4th of July. Worked 2 1/3 innings against the Angels. On here to face David Peralta. Peralta 1 for 4 tonight with a triple and a run scored. Ahmed, the runner at first, driven back by a toss. Detweiler a look at first, and the pitch is fouled back. Ross coming out of the bullpen, something he did more than 40 times last year in Washington. And he has faced a number, of course, of these Arizona Diamondbacks. Way inside, it hit him. Fastball tailing in, and it plunked David Peralta. Ahmed down to second. Peralta at first, 2 on. And now the dangerous Paul Goldschmidt coming up. And that is going to be the only hitter that Ross Detweiler is allowed to face. So the hit batter puts 2 aboard with 2 out. Goldschmidt to be the hitter, and it looks like Tanner Scheppers is going to be asked to come on and face Paul Goldschmidt. So another pitching change here at Globe Life. We'll be back again right after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. To face Paul Goldschmidt with 2 on and 2 out, trying to keep the Arizona advantage at those 3 runs. Tanner Scheppers, his 27th outing. He's on a streak of 7 consecutive scoreless appearances. He would like to make that 8 here tonight and give the Rangers a chance with 2 more at bats to try and get back into this ball game. Goldschmidt 1 for 2 officially tonight. He's walked twice, singled, and grounded to short. 1 ball, no strikes.
Mentioned a lot of things good about Goldschmidt. There's nothing bad about him. Another good thing about him is he's a .435 hitter with men in scoring position. He's just a tough out.
Shepard back to the plate. And Goldschmidt poking it foul on the first base side. Last time we saw Tanner in a ball game was on Sunday. Worked an inning, gave up a hit and a walk, but no damage to the Angels. Right-hander with that chest-high set. 2-1. Recently, we've seen Tanner Shepard featuring a few more breaking balls than we had seen him before. Taking a little bit off someone, too, making it almost a curveball. Comes in the fastball and hits the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Our Fox tracker. Those pitches right in the outside part of the strike zone. There's a little looper down the right field line that is going to fall for a base hit. 1 run is home. Around to third goes Peralta. And an RBI bloop single by Paul Goldschmidt makes it a 4-0 Arizona lead.
Well, Tanner got the ball in there. Trying to run the fastball in. You could see the catcher sets up in. Ball has some decent movement on it. Hits the inside corner. Not solid contact, just a little flare down the right field line, but strategically placed, and it scores another run.
Goldschmidt with his 68th RBI of the year. Still 2 out. Runners at first and third now. And Yasmani Tomas will step to the plate. Tomas 2 for 4. Both singles.
Mentioned the Goldschmidt came into the game with a .466 on base percentage, just a little bit behind Bryce Harper. He's walked twice and singled twice. His on base percentage, pretty hard for your on base percentage to go up in a game when it's .466 to begin with. But his is going up a little bit today.
Yep,
sure on base is. 4 times.
And that's fouled out of play to the right. No balls and 2 strikes to Tomas. Well, the Diamondbacks now 4 runs on 12 hits tonight. You know, the Rangers actually pretty fortunate to have only 4 on the board for Arizona. They had 12 hits, 5 walks, and a hit batter.
Left 10 men on.
Yep. And this one skied to shallow right field. Chu coming on. He calls off Odor, and that will do it. Diamondbacks add on a run, though. They get a run on 2 hits and lead 2 after 7.5. Now the Diamondbacks 4 and the Rangers nothing.
Backs by a score of 4-0 as we head to the bottom of the 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This game 1 of a brief 2-game set against the D-backs, and game 2 will be tomorrow, same time, same place. And if you're into numbers, here's some good numbers. Jeremy Hellickson, 0-3 with a 3.86 career ERA versus the Rangers. Hopefully that trend will continue tomorrow and a comeback on tap tonight.
Elvis not stopping at second. He is motoring into third. And in standing, Yasmani Tomas. The ball finally found him.
I'm not exactly sure what happened on that. I'm going to attempt to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it went through the lights. Let's see. I don't think so. He's lucky he had his glove up in front of his head, though. One of those balls, occasionally you see a guy dive or slide for a ball that might have hit him in the head if he didn't dive or slide. When you dive or slide and have to reach above your head to catch it, generally means you didn't have to slide for it.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's going to be a 3-base error on Yasmani Tomas. And it's also going to bring Mike Harkey, the pitching coach, out to talk to Robbie Ray and get the bullpen busy. Guy's the longest outing of his career tonight. 7 full innings of work. Also had a 7-inning outing against the Angels last month. The Rangers threatening here. Elvis with the 3-base error now at third. The Diamondbacks will play the infield back. Shin-Soo Choo 0 for 2 with a couple of fly balls. 1 ball, no strikes. Choo has flied to center and flied to left this evening. And a fly ball hit pretty well to center field. Chases Pollock back. Tagging at third, Elvis Andrus will trot down the line and cross home plate with the first run of the night for the Rangers. It is a 4-1 Arizona lead. Choo with his 36th RBI of the year. Choo getting that pitch up where he could drive it in the air to the outfield. No, now the base is empty. A run across. Here's Robinson Chirinos, who's 0 for 2. Chirinos had a foul pop his first time up. Last time up, leading off the 6th inning, went down swinging. Ray back to the plate. And he pops this one up. Foul territory. Castillo falling off Goldschmidt.
Even he's smiling on that one.
I'm going to go about a 6.8 on the degree of difficulty. A little low as he went down.
That was maybe a 1.8 played into a 6.8. Nice somersault, though.
It was.
Great follow through. Once he made contact with the ball.
Didn't quite stick the landing, though.
He's just praying he's got the ball. He doesn't care what it looks like. And he does. He got it.
Yep. Oh, 2 gone. And DeShields rips one to left for a base hit. Well, the Rangers making some noise. DeShields going for 2. The throw is offline. He's sliding in safeness. Great job of hustle base running by Delino DeShields.
You got to love that. You hit a rope for a base hit to left and end up with a double. He's got extra triples this year because of his speed and extra doubles because of his speed. He's had a lot of good at-bats, too. Really right on that rope. Hit the ball hard another time in this game, too. Didn't matter where that throw was. It wasn't going to get him anyway. Well, you get the extra base. See if you can't pick up another run. Make it a little bit better ball game right here.
Now, Rougned Odor an opportunity here. And he lines one to center. That's a base hit. DeShields will score. Odor with the RBI single. It's a 4-2 ball game.
Basically just scoring a run with speed.
Rougned drives in his 23rd of the year.
Fastball jammed him a little bit. He just slices that little blooper in the center field and make a pitching change.
The Rangers don't let Robbie Ray complete the 8th inning. Chip Hale out to take the ball from his left-hander, and he's going to make the call to the bullpen. Well, that'll do it for Robbie Ray, who goes 7 2/3. He leaves with a runner on and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. We'll come back to tell you all about the matchup right after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. And a big part of it came this inning.
Well, it's just nice to have Delano and his speed back in the lineup. Paused for a second and still could have gone in standing up. He's got the great speed, and he cuts the bases almost perfectly. You never see him take too wide a turn, trip going around a base. It just seems like he hits it in stride every time.
And Oliver Perez, the 33-year-old left-hander, now appearing in his 36th ball game this year. He is very much a left-handed matchup specialist. He will face Prince Fielder, who represents the tying run in this ball game. This matchup has occurred on 15 other occasions. Prince is 2 for 15 against Perez. Fielder 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Perez drops that breaking ball in for strike 1. Prince in the previous matchups has drawn a couple of walks. He has struck out 4 times, and he has hit 1 home run. Perez a check of first. 1 ball and 1 strike. Oliver Perez, native of Mexico, originally came up with the Padres back in 2002. Spent time with Pittsburgh, with the Mets, with Seattle, and now with Arizona. Chopper to the right side, the shortstop, Ahmed, over to take a cut off the ball before it gets to the outfield and throws out Fielder. That'll do it. Rangers score a couple of runs on 2 hits, an error, and leave 1. We're going to the ninth, 4-2, Diamondbacks.
Live on deck for the Captain Morgan Club. Pudge Rodriguez and Mark McLemore will join me, Rick Renner. Can't wait for that. We got Emily Jones in the clubhouse. We'll look ahead to Matt Harrison's start tomorrow in the finale of this series, trying to come back from something no one else ever come back from, spinal fusion surgery. That's Rangers Live after the game. Now back to Buzz and Tom.
All right, Rick, thanks very much. Well, we head to the top of the ninth inning. Sean Tollison coming out of the Ranger pen to take over here and pitch the ninth inning. Sean Tollison, the Ranger closer, and appearing in his 35th ball game of the year. 35 strikeouts and 34 2/3 innings. The league hitting just .231 against him. Jake Lamb to start things off. Lamb is 2 for 3, I should say. Also has a walk mixed in there, and he takes strike one.
Oh, the Rangers not having a lot of save opportunities. Dick Bannister is trying to figure out a way to get Sean regular usage, which will keep him sharp in the way that a closer is accustomed to being used. So it's kind of a balancing act for a manager when you don't have save opportunities, how to do that.
And of course, with the Angels sweeping the Rangers in the 3 games just completed here, no save opportunities there. And last time we saw Sean Tollison was in Baltimore, worked an inning on the Thursday night game against the Orioles, and picked up his 12th consecutive save in that ball game. 2-1 the count. Base hit to right field. Lamb with his 3rd hit of the night. A leadoff single here in the 9th inning. And let's take a look at our AT&T U-verse rewind. Jake Lamb with that double hit on the broken bat. And that was what broke the scoreless streak for Yovani Gallardo and broke up a scoreless game in the 5th inning. Lamb with a 2-run single. He's added 2 more singles. So a 3 for 4 night and a couple of RBI for Jake Lamb. He is aboard to start off the 9th inning. Wellington Castillo has a couple of hits in 4 trips. 1 ball, no strikes. Castillo now hitting at .232. He and Sean Tollison have not matched up in regular season play. Check swing, it's in for a strike. Anthony Bass, Anthony Renato. Just in case Sean Tollison runs into any problems. This is a point, Tom, where you've talked about it before. You don't want Sean Tollison to be out there for 25 pitches or 30 pitches.
No, and I think that's exactly why he has someone up in the bullpen.
Another little flare that's going to drop just foul. Castillo came within a foot or so of dropping yet another bloop in.
Missed by about more than 6 inches. Yeah, I would say for Sean, you know, that pitch total somewhere between 12 and 17 pitches, right around in there. It's a good workout and enough.
One ball and 2 strikes to Castillo. Prime candidate for a ground ball double play.
I think Jeff Bannister has the luxury of just having had a day off and then knowing that you have Thursday off as well. I think you can use your bullpen for these 2 games a little bit differently than you could if you were in a stretch of 10 or 15 days in a row playing. Right. You'd have to save some guys, but now I think with the 2 off days, you're probably just trying to get guys the work they need to stay sharp.
Call, strike 3. Sean Tollison painting the outside corner, and Wellington Castillo not admiring his artwork.
Looks like it's coming back toward the lower part of the strike zone. The umpire Brian O'Nora thinking in the back of his mind, okay, I'll remember that. Next one that gets thrown to you out there, I'll call that a ball for you if you don't think it's a strike. Not really.
Jared Saltalamacchia steps in. Saltalamacchia has walked and singled. Also struck out twice. 1 for 3 tonight, hitting at 170 for the year. Handling the DH chores. Of course, the Diamondbacks, being in the National League, aren't really set up to handle the DH very well. And they don't have a specific person that is along for the DH ride. American League clubs really have to set themselves up that way. Chip Hale, very familiar though with the DH ramifications. Over the years, Diamondbacks have hit 245 in the designated hitter role.
Good changeup by Sean, dropping out of the strike zone. Yeah, right now the Diamondbacks are only using 3 extra men, so they don't have a lot of candidates for the DH. Tough for them to carry a hitter who's not fairly adept at playing defense, the DH type of guy.
0-2 pitch. And we'll come back and try it again. Dawson, the Baylor ex. Sean, a 26-year-old, really is finding himself right at the forefront as far as Ranger plans at that catcher's, or I should say the closer spot. Took it over in the middle of May, and he has not looked back. 1-2. Could have been, but not called. Sean ready, a check of first. Lamb with a leadoff single, a strikeout of Wellington Castillo. Now Jared Saltalamacchia, a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes at the plate. Call, strike 3. Oh, Sean just painting that outside corner at the knees.
Seen a couple of changeups, and then he gets the fastball. No doubt about whether it's a strike or not, right on the outside corner. Well, Jared eyeballs it all the way into the catcher's mitt. But according to our Fox tracks, that was a good pitch.
No, 2 gone on the back-to-back punch-outs. Now Chris Owings. 0 for 3 tonight. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th and came around to score. A very important run in this ball game. Diamondbacks scoring their first 2 runs in the 5th inning and then added on 1 in the 6th and 1 in the 8th. Rangers able to put 2 on the board in the bottom of the 8th. Fastball for a strike, 0-1. Donaldson ready to go. 1 ball and 1 strike. Owings .236 average, .235 average as he stands at the plate. Lamb still at first after that leadoff single. 2 balls and a strike. Good look right over the top of the Ranger dugout. RF camera gives you great viewpoints from around Globe Life Park. Two and two. fastball in right under the elbows of the hitter. Usually pretty tough for them to get the head of the bat out to it. Just missed. Trying for 3 in a row to the outside corner and didn't quite get it. So the count's full.
That's one that could have been.
So with 2 outs now, Lamb will be off and moving with his next pitch. John Tolleson with his 20th pitch of the inning. He's going to need 21. Lamb back to first. Owings adjusting those batting gloves. Tolleson looking in for the sign. Says okay. Lamb on the move, the 3-2. Got him swinging. Tolleson gives up a leadoff single and then punches out Castillo, Saltalamacchia, and Owing. We're going to the bottom of the ninth. Rangers need 2 to tie. West is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer to kick off the summer right. Ford is the best in Texas. Bottom of the ninth inning. Rangers trailing 4-2. The Diamondbacks go to their closer, and that was the 35-year-old right-hander Brad Ziegler. Ziegler coming on now to face Beltre, Moreland, and Hamilton. Ziegler with 12 saves in 14 opportunities this year. Veteran right-hander. And the first pitch from down under to Adrian Beltre. In for strike 1. Beltre 3 for 8 lifetime against Ziegler. Chopper to the right side. Goldschmidt underhands to Ziegler, covering for out number 1. Next will be Mitch Moreland. Ranger fans remember Brad Ziegler from his time at Oakland. Rangers had a lot of matchups with the A's. Ziegler a mainstay of that bullpen from 2008 through 2011.
He had some kind of streak when he first started out, didn't he? Like scoreless innings?
Streak, yeah.
Can't remember how many it was. Pretty impressive, though.
And when he first came up in 2008, he had an ERA of 1.06 in 47 games. It was, I don't know, 18 or 19 scoreless, and it's something like that to start his career. It was a lot of zeros, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that, too.
Mitch Moreland has a single in 3 trips. Two balls and no strikes. Mitch, you remember last time up, slapped a base hit to left field. Well, this time the Diamondbacks playing the third baseman Lamb about midway between second and third, not giving Moreland quite as much of an open hole between the line and the third baseman.
Wow. Eric Josephson just informed me, Buzz, that it was 39 straight scoreless innings to start.
Dreaming of Christmas.
They're definitely keeping the ball down, making it sink, and trying to get the Ranger hitters to pound it into the ground.
Well, Mitch out in front now. 3 balls and a strike. Moreland to be followed by Josh Hamilton. That is out of play to the left. The count is full. Here's Hamilton in the on-deck circle. Love to see Josh come up as a tying run in this ball game. Payoff pitch coming. Up the middle. Backhanded by the shortstop Ahmed. He throws and gets it. Boy, nice play by Nick Ahmed. And that is a very big out, number 2.
Yeah, Ahmed takes his time. He knows he's got time to make the throw. He wants to make sure it's a strong throw and an accurate throw. And as a shortstop, he's got the arm strength to make the throw that way.
So 2 outs. Here is Josh, who's 0 for 3. Chop foul. Nice to see Hamilton back there in the order. In that middle part of the Ranger order with a productive Josh Hamilton in there. Boy, that looks very formidable with a fielder, Beltre, Moreland, and Hamilton. Slapped out of play the other way. No balls and 2 strikes. Josh, 3 ground outs tonight. Ziegler trying for his 13th save of the year. That would tie his career high. He also had 13 back in 2011. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Gets away from Castillo, but the throw and the out recorded at first. That will do it. Rangers go quietly to Brad Ziegler. 2 ground outs and a strikeout. And they have now lost 7 straight as the Diamondbacks win tonight by a score of 4-2. Well, the Rangers can't break out of the funk here at home. Just not able to get the offensive output that they have been accustomed to in this ballpark. Come back out and try it again tomorrow behind Matt Harrison. 4-2 the final. And our TXU Energy Power Player of the game is Robbie Ray of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ray went 7 2/3 innings here tonight. He gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, neither of which was earned. He had 1 walk and 4 strikeouts in picking up his 3rd win in 7 decisions. So Robbie Ray, our TXU Energy Power Player of the game tonight. We'll come back to Globe Life Park to wrap things up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.